Wouldn't mind a bit of rain. It's the script on Dubai Eye 103.8. Helen Farmer with you through until 4 o'clock as ever.
This is Eye on Education on Afternoons with Helen Farmer.
With Royal Grammar School Guildford Dubai, sister school of RGS Guildford in the UK, educating the leaders of tomorrow since 1509.
Once seen as just a pastime, gaming is now powering up classrooms, and some UA schools really leading the way. As we've been hearing, Dubai is positioning itself as a global gaming hub, and Repton Dubai is tapping into that energy by bringing game-based learning into the classroom. But how do you balance fun with focus? How do you really make a decision if it's adding value to education? And can gaming teach kids more than just how to win? Joining us in studio is Devon Jamison, who's the Digital Learning Coordinator and Computer Science teacher at Repton Dubai, to talk about educational gaming, real-life skills, maybe shaping the next generation of tech talent. Devon, lovely to have you in the studio. Where and when did your love of gaming start? Can you kind of pinpoint a moment or a game that changed it all?
I think the very first Pokemon game that came out on a Nintendo, or Tetris, one of those.
Okay.
Showing my age.
Hey, listen. Hey, showing our age, although I think I'm older than you. I got so addicted to Tetris. And I wasn't like 12, although I did once sign up for a bank account because I got a free blue Game Boy that came with Tetris. Very good financial decision. That I would close my eyes and see bricks falling. Yeah,
That's an addiction.
It was a real.
Did you hear that Tetris is really good for mental health?
Is it?
Yeah. It
Sign
has
me up.
good effects on depression.
Well, it's funny because I was playing Candy Crush a few months ago, and it seems to have like tried to reposition itself as being a mindful app, and I'm like, it's like relax with Candy Crush. I'm like, come on, guys, that's a bit of a reach, I would say. Now, it's interesting because it starts with enjoyment for you, but you've then built it into a career around education, and that's what I really want to ask about today. But it's how you integrate gaming into a learning experience for students. What's at the crux of it for you?
For me, I think it's about teaching students that it's not just about playing the games, but there's a whole industry around it. And a lot of students, well, a lot of celebrity nows are the YouTubers or the Twitch streamers, and they're the top 1% of revenue takers in that industry. And realistically, we've got things like graphic design, video design, team management, coaching, education, my background, that students can actually explore as well, and maybe parents don't actually know that that's the case, and the amount of money that's coming into it. Dubai has the Dubai program for gaming that's coming through for 2033, and there's going to be loads of jobs opening up in the ecosphere here.
30,000 is the number that I've heard, and it was interesting being down at AI Week earlier this week. The conversations, and to be completely frank, the cash being discussed was astounding. The UA gaming sector just growing at absolute rapid pace. This is probably a leading question, but do you see gaming as a viable tool of bridging that gap between education and being industry ready, those digital skills?
I do believe so. I think one of the things that we do at Repton is in Key Stage 3, we have Kodu and Game Maker, 2 platforms that students can program on and build their own games, but they learn programming in a very fun and gamified way in comparison to what I did in school, which was build websites or build financial programs, which you don't really get the fun aspect there. You do see the outcomes, you do see the calculations, but you don't see a character moving on screen or play a game with a friend and interact together through the joy of playing and also programming at the same time, which is a very hard skill to get into. And additionally with that, we just hosted a tri-campus event where we had students come and play games, and the communication skills that they developed, the teamwork skills that they developed they absolutely loved the day. And actually the teachers also got involved, and we had some parents being like, next time, can we come and get involved as well? Can we have some competitions against the students? So we've got a few more events planned coming up in the near future, I'd say.
How do you get that balance though? Because I know a lot of parents are worried, and I would count myself in that, in terms of screen time, hours on devices versus kind of, hands-on human learning. You want to maintain academic discipline, but But gamification is actually a very real way of doing that. That must be a difficult decision to go, where is the value? What is our why about putting tech in the classroom?
I think having tech in the classroom, we're in that age of digital innovation. So it's incredibly important, but there is a key factor that we have to educate parents about. What are we really teaching them through gamification? I think if you look at all of these really big names in gaming, all of the teams have coaches, they have health managers, they have all of these additional tools outside of just sitting in front of a screen and managing their screen time to make sure that they're remaining healthy. Myself, I love to do a lot of sports activities for revision, get the kids away from the computers and thinking about what they're developing, the critical thinking that they're applying in the classroom but outside of the classroom, and how those skills translate. Because
that's the worry, isn't it? Is that you think, oh my goodness, my kid's into gaming, they're going to turn into a massive thumb who doesn't want to go to the toilet, going to be wearing a nappy, and they're going to be just sipping, Coke all night. Whereas you're saying that actually what they can be learning on the screen can translate to increased skills, performance, productivity away from the screen?
Yes, and obviously we also wanted to translate to something financial. We do have professional gaming. We did have the Esports World Cup in the last summer. That was 75 million prize pool, a lot of money for these kids to aspire to, and similar to students who want to go and be footballers and want to go and be basketball players, YouTubers, all of these sorts of things.
You were a competitive gamer yourself for a while. What was that experience like?
It's taught me a lot of self-management skills, and then also
you're saying that in a kind of, I was maybe spending 20 hours a day in the chair.
Not so much, because as part of a team, we were doing promotions, podcasts. We were trying to get other people to be part of our team to practice, and I think it really taught me that no matter where you're from, what your background is, you have the ability to work with other people, because gaming is one of those things where you're not judged on your face, you're judged on your skills. And I think that's one of the things that I think is the strongest point about gaming, is that the avatar that you are and how you conduct yourself online is slightly more positive than we see on social media or, TikTok. And
there was a really heartbreaking story that came out of the UK last year about a young man who was very unwell, and he actually found escape from his illness and his pain through gaming. And when he passed away, his parents were, of course, devastated, but had this huge outpour. I've just got goosebumps down my legs. A huge outpouring of love from people that they didn't know existed. People that saw him, as you say, as a completely different person. He'd never spoken about his illnesses or any of the impairments that he had. And they found huge comfort in the fact that he had real love and friendship and support. And he was talking to people about what he was going through. And that to me was like a real changing... It really changed my mindset, actually, that it's not about locking yourself away in the room, although I'm sure for some people it is. But actually it can be a real point of connection.
There is the negative side of it as well, though. We've got platforms like Roblox that a lot of parents are talking about in the young years, where it's not necessarily age monitored, and how do we regulate that, but then also educate our children to be responsive in a different way to what they might be hearing online, what they might be engaging with online, and how do we educate parents to streamline that too?
Well, that's exactly it. It does come back to us. It's very easy for that gap just to get bigger and bigger in terms of our knowledge. So what advice would you give to parents who want to support their child's interest in gaming and tech, but also make sure it's educational and balanced? Does it come back to educating ourselves?
I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, we hold conferences for parents at the school. I think as teachers, we do have a responsibility. If we bring in gamification in, if we're using tools like quizzes and all of these other platforms to educate children, or even using them as a reward at the end of a lesson or at the end of a term, we have some responsibility to educate the parents too. I think one of the things that I do find is that as our generation grew up with a different set of games, and not competitive, not online. It was more story driven. And I think it's a different ecosystem. So I would say if your kids love games, get on the games with them. I think enjoy what they're enjoying, and even if you don't enjoy it, you'll see the community that surrounds it, the different aspects that are around it, and what skills they're learning from those.
And kids love to teach us stuff. You know, they get a huge amount of enjoyment and confidence. And my kids think it's hilarious to game with me because they're like, "Oh my God, Mum, you are rubbish." And they love that because it's a boost to them. Message here from Ibrahim saying, gaming, VR, Half-Life Alyx, probably one of the most impactful experiences in gaming in recent times as well. VR can be a great way for bringing gaming into learning. You using VR yet?
So we're actually just piloting it in our school, started last week. So just implemented 30 headsets into the school. And I'm really looking forward to bringing VR into the gaming sphere of things. At the moment, we're just using the tool Engage to provide educational support, but not necessarily for gaming. But I would love to. I've got 2 personal headsets that I will be bringing in to test for next year when we can install new programs.
Last question. What game are you playing tonight?
I'm probably going to play a game called Grand Blue Fantasy, a game that got me through COVID and was very positive in terms of my time management and skills around that. So,
Devon, thank you so much. Really interesting to see what's happening behind the scenes and how schools are choosing to engage in tech, in AI, in gaming for the right reasons and with that bigger picture in mind, whether it is going to a degree, as we've been talking about American University in Dubai, community, escapism, problem solving, and even fitness, as you mentioned there. So thank you. Devon Jamison is a digital learning coordinator and the teacher of computer science at Repton Dubai. If you want any more information, you can just send me the word gaming.
Weather check
With Air Arabia. Save big with Air Arabia from Abu Dhabi, Sharjah